Go select.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to some more philosophy, humanistic studies here, where we talk about morality. Tonight, I have a very special guest of the Christian faith, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his Christian way of life, his views, and why he's a Christian, and was he born as a Christian, and stuff, questions, just general questions like that, so we can get some insight and some morality from the Christian perspective. And I believe he's from the Baptist branch, correct, sir?
Yes, sir. Free Will Baptist, so yeah.
Okay, perhaps you recognize this guy from some other playlist, but either way, he's my special guest tonight to discuss his Christian point of view. So how you doing, Bill?
Well, first let me thank you for having me on, and I am doing great tonight. Thanks for asking. Just enjoying a beautiful night. Glad you had me on and discuss something that's very near and dear to me.
So Bill, was Baptist Christianity a part of your family tradition? Were you born into that faith, or did you come to the faith from another approach?
Well, basically, it boils back to my mom growing up. She went to Free Will Baptist, and she went to basically, she went through, that was the first church I can remember us really going to, and I was just basically raised up in that church with her, and then when she passed away, my grandma went to the same kind of church, so it's like I basically grew up in that particular. Now, we did at one time, for a very brief time, went to the Methodist church, which is very different. And their whole ceremonies and things they do now is a little different than what I was used to. But my mom just felt like it just wasn't what was really connecting with us. So we basically went back and been Free Will Baptist itself. It's basically a branch of the Baptist, but it's just free will. You choose or you don't. It's your free will to choose whether you accept Jesus in your life or not.
So, growing up, you were church going. You went to church every Sunday, pretty much, right? You took the church very seriously, because there's a lot of religious people out there affiliated as they identify as a Christian, but they don't necessarily go to church every weekend. However, you actually went to church every weekend, correct?
Yeah, growing up, my mom felt it was really important for us to go to church because she wanted the teachings of Jesus in the Bible, along with her shaping us to kind of mold and shape us as we grow up in our character and our mannerisms, the morals that we have, to help shape us as we grew up. So yeah, we went to church Sunday night, and Wednesday night, and it was like we very rarely even missed church growing up. I can't remember a time growing up that we didn't go to church, so yeah, pretty much. Now,
are you the oldest in the family? Are you the oldest of your siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother and a sister, and I'm the oldest. My sister's 2 years behind me. My brother is 2 years behind her. So we're pretty close in age, but yeah, I'm the oldest. So yeah, that's basically correct.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you were baptized? Were you baptized at a very young age, or do you recall that?
Actually, to be honest with you, I got baptized really late in life because of the fact that when you get baptized, you have to make that dedication and beliefs that you're going to follow it and just go along. But for years, I've grown up. It has shaped me, but really as believing in Jesus truly and I'm trying to live for him, that didn't come till later in life because I was the type of person that I was a church goer, but I wasn't fully Christian because I wasn't going and abiding by exactly everything. There were still things of this world that I still held on to. And I got baptized, I would say maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. So it happened later in life for me because I felt that was what I had to do. So no, it was later in life for me. It wasn't like one of those, like you see on TV and the babies get baptized and stuff and christened and all that. It wasn't anything to do with that. I got baptized because I made that decision myself. And it was only like maybe 6 or 7 years ago that I truly did, because I really wanted, I was going through a rough time and I just felt like I needed some sense of direction that I wasn't getting and I was living.
You need a sense of comfort in your life. Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember your like first like real spiritual experience? Like you had a day that was very blissful and you felt very peaceful inside. You recall like one of your first days like that when you felt really in touch with the Lord and things of that nature? Or do you feel that regularly? You feel that regularly now.
Yeah.
But what some of your first experiences there?
Well, I think what it was there was a few years back, maybe 9 years or so. I felt like, I remember we were doing something. I don't know if I was, for some reason, I think the preacher wasn't there and they wanted me to talk and speak. And I felt like the more I was getting into talking, I felt like this warmness inside of me get warmer and warmer, like it was on, like it, and they say when the Spirit gets on you, you start feeling it hot and warm and fire. You feel like you're getting on fire. And for the Spirit, and I just felt like the more I was talking, I realized I was getting more intense with it. And dude, when I felt it inside. It was just like this burning sensation I felt in here, but it wasn't a bad burning. It was a good, because when I got done, I could just feel it. I was like, wow, I actually feel, I feel like the Lord has really, hit me tonight, because I feel really good, and that I, more so than I ever felt. So yeah, I did it, but that was some years back, but it wasn't until recently when I left when my past relationship happened. I feel like I had to get back in. I'm starting to feel it now even more, because I noticed through my Sunday school.
Back dedicated. Now, let me throw out some credentials. You were a Sunday school teacher for a long time, correct? Like teaching kids the word.
Yeah, I was.
You seem like you'd be a good preacher. Someday that might be a good side career for you, but you were a Sunday school teacher, correct?
I was for about 11, I would say 11 years straight. But then, wow, like I said,
that's good.
Yeah, but then, like I said, I got my last relationship, it got me into a dark place where I wasn't really satisfied, and by doing that, I lost my job. I couldn't no longer be Sunday school because I wasn't living that life I was supposed to, and I had to make a decision, either leave the job or things had to be different in my relationship. And sad to say, at that point, my relationship, because what my preacher was saying I needed to do was I felt like was kind of impossible. But I realize now that I should have made the better choice, because I didn't realize how much of a pull away from serving that I did. But I can say now, since we're no longer engaged, I've been Sunday school teacher for a total of 13 years now, and I teach the adult class in Sunday school.
Yes, sir. Now, when you're looking for a girlfriend, is her religious views, and I know they're important to you, but does she have to be the same branch of religion as you, or are you more open-minded on that, or you rather have somebody in the same domination as you, correct?
Well,
what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say this. I would say if a person, in idealistic ways, I would like somebody to they don't have to be in the same denomination, but like if someone's like a Mormon, that would be very difficult, because I think to the future, and if you get married and you have a child, there's going to be a debate over what you want to do. I don't want to go through that. If a person, if like I'm Free Will Baptist, if it was a Baptist, or if it was a Baptist or Free Will Baptist or Southern Baptist or whatever, that's fine. But if you get someone off that's that's totally out of your element, it makes it difficult, because while you may want to raise the child in church, they may not, that other person may not want to. That's what was to happen with this one relationship I had. Me and the girl got along really well, and we could have probably dated, but the thing was, she was a Mormon, and we thought, well, if we really get serious, then who knows, down the road there's going to be issues there. And but my ex didn't even go to church. She went to church a few times, and I'm okay with that, as far as being okay with it, but I don't want someone that's going to pull me down. That's what my last one did. Yeah. So if it ever comes to the fact that I date again and a girl, I don't mind it, but I just don't want her to pull me down if she doesn't want to go, because I can totally respect if someone don't. You can't make people go to church with you, but in hand too, you got to be respectful of that person that's going to church and not let your views pull them down. So that's kind of a two-sided thing, but that's where I'm at, But I just think someone else of a different religion would make it very difficult down the road, and I just don't want that difficulty in my life. I really don't.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to date somebody with the same religious views and morality views as yourself. It makes it a lot easier. But when you're with your ex that didn't attend church that much, you were always will throw in and try to encourage her to go and things like that, because she was a Christian too, but you're just trying to encourage her to get back dedicated to going to church and everything like that. And it didn't really work out the way you wanted to, but I don't blame you, man. Date somebody that shares the same religious views and takes church as seriously as you do. Now, do you think that America would be a better place to live if people would, of the Christian faith, would actually practice what they preach and go to church more and just get a sense of morality, get their morals from church and things of that nature? Do you feel like people are lost nowadays because of lack of church and because of the busy lifestyle and all these responsibilities and things of that nature?
Well, in a way, I feel personally like when back in the old days, things were much purer than they are today. I felt like when they had prayer in schools and stuff and things that of that nature happened, the 10 Commandments and stuff being everywhere, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, people not being afraid to say God in anything, not come so PC about everything. I think the world was in a better off place. I think since, prayer got out of schools, there's no guidance for kids growing up except sex and guns and all this kind of things that's out there. It's become more wicked. Our society starts out with the young and what direction. I just felt like the world was a much better place back then when it was instituted and happened, because people had more of a positive influence and direction with it. And, you can't ever give up hope on the United States. The Lord said in the Bible, he said that if a nation would turn from its wicked ways and follow him, that he would heal that nation. If the United States, I feel like if the United States, as bad as it's gotten and everything that's happened, if they would just turn from the wicked ways and repent, then yeah, man, there's hope. In answer your question, would I feel like it? I think things will be a lot better if people did. But when you realize the United States, what happened was when it swole up, many different people from different religions came in, and it was no longer considered, that no longer became the norm, because back in the 50s and 60s, you didn't hear of people upset about this or that or saying things. It's only till like when these more cultures got bigger and bigger and the lack of direction came in that you see a difference in it, and the country is being stretched in every different way that it is today. And so, yeah, I honestly do, being straight out honest with you, and I think I've even said on a video I've done before, I just feel like it would be a lot different had it done that, because even in the Bible, when nations have stood with the Lord's watched over them, they prospered, they done well. And you see the United States is slowly slipping down, even though we're a great country, but we still will start slipping down because I feel like from the lack of it and going in other directions instead of direction that I feel like we should go in, and a lot of other people that love the Lord should go in, it starts slipping, and it's only going to get worse because sex and violence is up, murders are up, things like nature crimes against kids, old people, even animals is up because of it. So, yeah, man, and just to cut that answer off, yeah, I just believe things will be a lot better off if had things would go in that way rather than just in the multi directions it's going out, because there ain't no stable way that it's going.
It feels good being part of a community when you go to church and you have your group of friends there, and you praise the Lord, and you can eat lunch afterwards. And what you think of the social bonds in church and communities? And I know this is what I have respect for. A lot of religious groups will go out there and help the homeless and feed the poor. They actually go on tours around these United States and around the world, and they help people in poverty, and they give medicine to the sick and stuff like that. And I have a lot of respect for that. But have you made a lot of friendships in church? Do you enjoy being there with people, or are you just more like to yourself in church and you study your religion, on your own and things like that? Or are you more like, are you with your peers in church and you socialize a lot in church? Is it like a big, not I want to say a social club, but like a big, group setting where you can socialize? And what's your social experiences in church?
Well, here's the way it works basically in our church and some of the other churches. I can't say every church. That's why I always give
your experience.
To me, what you were talking about going in other directions, it's those missionaries, the missionaries that go out to preach God's word. I have the utmost respect. And a lot of times what our conference does, not just our church, but a group of our conference, which is a group of like 9 or 10 churches, they actually take up money to donate to the missionaries that go overseas, to go to talk about Jesus and God's life in other countries, even ones where their lives are potentially are in jeopardy. And we've seen a lot over the years missionaries that go over there trying to talk about Jesus, they're being killed by these countries, by people that don't want that taught, and it's a dangerous thing. But I do admire missionaries to do that. And as far as the other part of your question about socializing, yeah, man, I mean, it's a great thing to know. Like our church, if someone's in need, we try to take up canned goods and stuff and get them what little bit, or we try to raise money. The whole thing to me is that when I go to church, yeah, it's not that I am like personal alone to myself and study. Church, when we do like Wednesday nights and stuff, and I do Sunday school, it's more of a teaching and discussion where we all can sit there and talk. It's not to where we're just it's always like preaching. The preacher does preach and stuff on Sundays and Sunday nights, but like when I do Sunday school, it's more of a teaching thing and discussion where we all can partake in it. And and it's not only just within the walls of the church, but it's intention for everyone when you go outside the church and taking beliefs of Jesus. And like if let's say, for instance, I see the preacher at Walmart, for instance, right? And I, felt the need to be prayed for, then we shouldn't feel ashamed to be prayed for in Walmart. I mean, there's nothing that we should be ashamed of. It goes beyond the church doors, because living for Jesus just ain't living him inside the church. It's supposed to be living him wherever you go. So in my experiences, like we talk about on Wednesday nights, the other assistant Sunday school teacher, he talks and he does kind of picks up where I leave at. And where I basically go is I do what I do Sunday, but it's more or less teaching, learning, and discussing. And with that, I don't feel the need, nobody else does, that we keep it to ourselves, not Free Will Baptist. Now I know some different religions do different things, but as far as my and Free Will Baptist and being a Christian and in that life, everything's in the open. We're not to be ashamed of talking about Jesus and his ways and what he does. So it's more or less an open thing no matter where we're at. We're supposed to live a life of Christ no matter where we're at, whether it's in the church, in home, in the store, at work. You're supposed to still live that. Now I know some places have issues, but that's them. But as far as you answer your question, we do it openly. That's how we do it.
did you see the Christian movie War Room, and did you like it? And do you think that portrayed a good, positive message for Christianity in America and all over the world?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't seen War Room, but I have seen a bunch of numerous films that had, like Fireproof, and there was another one too that I watched too. Can't remember the name of it right off. And then the movie God is Real. I seen that. That was a good movie, and I think those movies portrayed, hit a true understanding in a very inspirational movie. So, yeah, I mean, I think they are. And Passion of Christ is good. Now, there have been some movies that I won't watch, like Exodus and Kings and Gods and stuff like that, because they don't portray the people in the Bible like they are. And people that don't know the Bible can be totally fooled by that. So, there's some stuff I just don't watch and won't watch because it's
I think the movie Noah's Ark, the recent one, was a big mistake because it's not the same story as it was in the Bible, and so you're not going to have your Christian viewers wanting to see it, and the people that's not into the story are not going to care to see it. So did that strike a nerve when you heard about Noah's Ark and they were changing the story around and things?
Yeah, man, because if you're going to believe in something, and let's say you write a story about your life, and detail for detail of what someone says about your life, but then when somebody makes a movie of your life and they change parts that really had an impact in your life, it can tick you off. And yeah, because I've grew up, I read the Bible from front to back. I've studied story after story and know different ones in there and the lessons and morals it teaches. And when I see someone make something that totally goes out of the element of it, then sure, man, it's a very hurtful and very upsetting thing to see, because it's like you said, if I go and it's going to make Christians that know the stories upset. Two is it's going to cause people that if they do watch it thinking it's about the Bible, they're going to be totally misled, and that's what you don't want. I'd rather for somebody that don't know it not to watch it overall, because if you have people that do watch it, they're going to be misled from what they think the story is all about if they haven't read the Bible. That's where the problem comes in. Not that they'll not want to watch it, but because they'll get misled if they do watch it. I'd rather for them just say, hey, not watch it in general. I just think they're flops when they do that. Now, there's only been a couple movies, like with The Passion of the Christ. That's a good movie. That's a very emotional movie to watch. And it's tough to watch it and not feel the emotion from it, in the story. But that's a very touching one, like Moses' 10 Commandments. That always comes on around Easter. That's always a classic to watch. So, yeah, there have been some good ones.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, and so, but like you said, Exodus and Gods and Kings and Noah's Ark, it's all baloney because it's not a correct portrayal of the Bible. It's these big studios and stuff that want to make these big conglomerate movies and make them bigger than what they really are, and that's where you mess up. You can't inflate the Bible like you can other stuff. Kind of like when we watch Captain America, Deadpool, those are blown up just out of the comic books, but you can't do that with Christian movies and Christian stories and stuff. It makes you Christians not want to watch it. That's why you see the backlash. That's why you didn't see a whole much news after that, other than the fact that these offended that the stories weren't accurate, and you didn't really hear much else after Noah's Ark and all of them. It didn't stay in the theaters long enough, and they bombed because they weren't right.
Well, yeah, but the point of this, I hear you. The point of this video, we're just talking about like the good morality that comes from Christianity, the teachings of Jesus, really good teachings as far as turning the cheek and being good to your neighbors and so on and so forth. That was some of the moral teachings.
Yeah, a lot of parables in the Bible of that, right?
Yeah.
Because
so hold on. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, if you take the Bible literally or just as a metaphor, the morals are universal truths, and you can't go wrong living by, good, positive, universal morals, no matter who you are. Is the way I see it. Now, so I'm gonna sum this up with a couple of quick questions for you. Are you 100% happy as a Christian man? And if you were never to marry again, would you be happy with your relationship with the Lord? Would that keep you fulfilled? 'Cause I know in my faith, I'm happy as I am. I accept that. I put that first now. I love myself before I love somebody else. Not in a selfish way. I just can't love somebody else if I don't love myself. But we're talking about your point of view. So, does Christianity make you 100% happy? And if you were never to marry again, would you continue to be happy because you have Jesus Christ in your life?
Right. That you just summed it up there. Yeah. Because getting married in this life is a nice thing to have, but I don't feel in heart wise it's a necessity. Having Jesus in your life, now I feel that in my beliefs is a necessity to have, because in serving the Lord and you're doing what He would have for you to do. You're living the way that you would want to live for Him, and things of this world are good to have, like having a wife. But to me, I feel like it's more of a necessity to have God in your life. And by having Him in your life, yeah, it does make me feel happy, because it eliminates a lot of sadness and worries about, life after death.
It fulfills that emptiness in your life. It fulfills that emptiness and gives you a sense of comfort.
Yeah, because I told someone, when you believe in it, I told, and my belief has always been, dude, and like I tell them in church, I feel like people are born with a hole in their heart, and I feel in their soul, and I feel like a lot of times that Jesus is the thing that when He comes in, because then when Jesus comes in your life, He brings this lightness. It's like the grass is greener than it's ever been. The skies are bluer than they ever been. You see things in a brighter perspective, and you don't see that darkness there anymore. But if you just take it like having not ever married again, that's not going to create anything, because Jesus is supposed to be that satisfaction within your life. Having Him, He's what makes you happy. Now we're human, and we may want someone, and that's just natural, but we don't have to have them in order to be happy. Having Jesus and living for Him should be that happiness that we have, because that's what He comes in our lives to do, is to give us happiness, give us a sense of comfort and a sense of light and a sense of direction in where we should go.
Yeah, I know what you mean by the clear seeing, because spiritual experiences, no matter your religion or non-religion, you can have a spiritual experience and have, clear eyes, I like to say. But I totally understand that, what you mean by that. So, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I had, let me see, another question. I can't recall at the moment. Did you have any closing comments while I try to think of this question?
Well, it's like this. There's a lot of misconception of Christians in this world, and I'll just give you this point. Won't take but too long to say this. I feel like a lot of times there are people called hypocrites out there. Hypocrites are people that claim they're something that are really not. I think there's a lot of people out there that are these kind of people, and they can give Christians a really bad reputation, because a true Christian, there's things that they don't do. And you can claim to be a Christian, but if you're doing those things, then you're truly not one. You're being a hypocrite. That's one fact. Second thing is, I feel like a true Christian is going to love and not put down. If someone has a different faith or they believe differently, while they may not agree with their faith, Jesus said, you may not love someone's ways, but you're supposed to love their soul, who they truly are, the essence of them. So while you may not agree with someone's ways, you love their soul, and you're supposed to promote that love to them.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's why I wanted you as my guest, because there is good teachings in the Bible, and Jesus was a very good teacher and philosopher. I like Jesus as a philosopher, and you're absolutely right about there being good Christians and bad Christians. There's bad people, good people everywhere you go. And that's why I wanted you to be my guest tonight as my Christian person that I interviewed, because I know you're a good Christian and you got a good heart and things like that. But yeah. So
well, I appreciate you. Just want to say I appreciate you having me on discussion of this. Like I said, I do appreciate it. It's been a really good experience. And
yeah. But see what I defend people's religious beliefs, freedom of religion. I'll defend it because people can practice religion if they want to. They can say religious stuff in public if they want to. It's freedom. I defend that. And my thing is, I can't stand the people that judge other people, because I remember God says don't judge. Okay, God, from a Christian perspective, is the supreme authority. You have God on your side. And he says not to judge other people.
Right.
And that's when I came up in the defense of good Christians, #, leave it to God. If you have the supreme authority on your side, you shouldn't feel like the Websboro Baptist Church. Some of the churches like that. They don't have to go around and condemn people and stuff.
That's not
I understand spreading the word, spreading the message. I get that. But you have to do it in a positive way, or it's going to be a turnoff to some people. But if you got the supreme authority, you should just say, leave it to God. Just leave it to God. That's what I used to say. I just say, leave it to God, and you have less worries in your life. You don't want to worry your whole life about what other people do and things like that. You want to take care of you and your own and wish world peace and # leave it to God, right?
Right. And
agree with that.
Say about Westboro, dude. Westboro, and I even talked to my preacher about Westboro. Westboro is not a true church in the essence of what it's supposed to be for. God is, and like you said, the Bible says God is love. There's things God said that in essence of what's right and what's wrong. But even with those things wrong, he doesn't say, he said, even when you have enemies, the devil comes against you. He said, those things that come against you, he says, show love to your enemies, pray for your enemies. But because he said, never take revenge, because vengeance is his. Like you said, the Bible says, judge not, lest ye be judged. If you judge someone else, then by the measure you judge them, you're going to be judged. And so the harshness you judge somebody is the harshness you're going to be judged. And it ain't right. But that Westboro church ain't a true church. It's not. It all doesn't show any principles of God whatsoever.
Well, one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that the Buddha and Jesus preached and agreed with was love and compassion, not hatred. So show your enemy compassion, or at least say it's my intent to show him compassion. And a lot of times that shocks people. It dumbfounds people. It touches people. Like, this person should be mad at me, but he's showing me compassion and just letting it go. And I think that's always a good influence. But yeah, the Buddha, Jesus, they all taught love and compassion. And I think that's some really good, true, universal attributes as far as morality goes.
Right.
So you can't go wrong with compassion. I know in my faith, we do love and compassion meditation, where we really focus on love and compassion as a form of training. But it's a universal truth, and just try to show love for your enemies and just let stuff go, and the world will be a better place. People need moral lessons, and I advise you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not a church going, or if you are a church going, whatever the case, take up philosophy in school. If you're in college, take up philosophy, because philosophy is good for you, because it'll help you understand your own religion, and it'll help you understand other people too. Therefore, you have more compassion and understanding for other people, regardless. And # leave it to God. But you want to understand other people, so you won't pass judgment so quickly. I just think the world would be a better place if people understood each other more, because you can't hate somebody once you understand them. People hate what they don't understand, so on and so forth.
Right.
But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. But thanks, Bill, for coming on here and giving us some morality and teachings from the Bible. I really appreciate it. In my philosophy studies here, you're a good Christian, and I know you know what you're talking about. You're a Sunday school teacher for 13 years. You're doing pretty good. You're good to be around. You know, you have a good presence. You know,
Right.
people like being around you and stuff. And that's about it.
Yeah, that's what I say, dude. Hashtag kill them with kindness.
That pretty much wraps it up right there. So, anyway, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, man, for having me on.
All right. Well, that does it for Philosophy Studies episode. We'll catch you next time.